Hello, I'm Denise Rimbert, and I am the founder and creator of Learn, Grow, Live Enterprises, which is a organization that I do coaching, speaking. I have a podcast called Unblock Blessings as well, and I am also looking to um, do workshops basically around creating change in individuals who want to have a mindset shift because basically they are unable to get beyond wherever they are. So we start where you are and we build a program individually, and I do group workshops. So I do group workshops and individual workshops and coaching. Um, and so I've been in this mode where, I've constantly been having to answer the question of why. Why do I want to do these things? Like, what is my why? Why am I passionate about this type of work? I'm a licensed social worker, so there's another piece to that. And so all of that is incorporated into my why. So what's my why? Why do I want to be a life coach? Why do I want to continue to speak and teach and do workshops and all of those things? Um, so I'm hoping that this is not a long video or podcast, but just something that kind of helps people understand me and my reasons for why I do what I do. And there's several, but I think they all tie together. So, number one, I'm an empath. Right? I feel everything. When there's something going on in the world, I feel it. If it's being broadcast, it's energy, and that energy, when it gets to me, and I'm sure there are many other people that process things this way. When it comes to me, it takes a toll on my energy, and I have to find ways to replenish. I used to be, by default, a person who would just get high or drink, and let it go out the window, knowing it will be back. But this is just how I process things. Um, Over the course of my life, and I'm currently 49, there have been so many things that I have seen or had to deal with on a personal level. I've been abused as a child, whether it be sexually, sometimes physically, mentally, emotionally. Not necessarily always by my parents, but I did have an abusive father who was also an addict, alcohol and drugs, women. um, my father to me was a good guy. He was a Vietnam vet, so there were some challenges with him in that. He tried his best to take care of his family. He did the best he could in what he knew how. So for a long time, I was angry with him. But the one thing about my mother, she really did not allow us to not like our father, not want to be around him. As much as, when I was a teenager, I didn't, because he was so abusive and so to her, to us, and he was a cheater. I didn't want to like him, but I always loved him. Thankfully, I had a mother who encouraged us to respect that he was still our father no matter what. So I think that saved the relationship eventually, but for a while it was pretty tough. But that's part of my why. When I look at all of the things that I've been through as a kid, me and my siblings, and it's all different. The experiences were even perceived differently. um, and understand my life as it is now and my journey to right now, I needed a lot that I didn't get, and a lot was missed by my parents because they were also doing the best that they could. You know, so I want to challenge anybody that, has a issue with family or parenting, or, what their parents did to them. It's not an excuse, okay? So you definitely want to have a conversation, if you can, about how it affected you. But what I want to challenge people on is understanding that most of the time your parents are operating from their own understanding, their best practices. What they know is what they know. And it doesn't really help us to be upset with them for a long period of time, because we can't even go back and change any of that. We can't do anything about what our parents did or didn't do or didn't see, or just didn't have the skill set or the mindset to instill in us. It's really ultimately up to us how we respond to things. So I want to challenge especially the young people right now. If your parent isn't the greatest, you really can't blame them, because you got to look at a lot of things. Like, what happened to them? How were they raised? Where were they taught? And everybody needs to go back into their family history and understand that no one's going to come here perfectly able to give you everything that you need. You honestly are going to have to figure some things out on your own. This is my other reason for my why. Because if I had known this, it would have been a long time. It wouldn't have been so long, I think, taking me so long to get to the place where I feel comfortable talking about this stuff, or that I actually have done some work to get to where I am, to be able to, feel better about myself, to trust myself, to do things to feel worthy, to love myself. Like, all of those things came with life lessons. So sometimes we got to go through some stuff. But if you don't understand that it's about how you respond to that stuff is what's going to either propel you to the next level or stunt your growth. And it's all about growth, spiritually, emotionally, physically, but mainly understanding your spiritual connection to everyone around you and why it is important. Because I believe that we chose to be here in this experience with the people that we are experiencing life with. And it's why it affects us so much, because there is a lesson to be learned and knowledge to be gained about, once you experience something, what's next. I mean, and I know you can't, sometimes it's hard to process that, because it's like, man, if I'm a kid, I'm not wanting to learn a lesson because somebody touched me or did something to me that screwed me up for life, right? No, you're not. Nobody's saying that, that specifically you chose that part, but you chose an experience spiritually before you even got here. Your spiritual self was coming back for some lessons, or coming for some lessons. It's on us to understand those lessons. It's on us to gather the information that's out there or within us to be able to process through a lot of different things. It's on us. So that's part of my why, is knowing that people don't know that. We're not being taught that as a kid or as a teenager or even as an adult. We have to go find that information. I want to teach that information. I want to be one of the people who impart that information on people so they have a fair chance at life. So suicide isn't the only option. Um, so they understand that, okay, if it doesn't take me out, it's meant to make me stronger. But it'll only make me stronger if I process it in a way that I deal with the pain of it, I deal with the trauma of it, I deal with the if it's a physical injury that occurred, I deal with all of those things, but then I say, okay, what is it that I'm supposed to get out of this? Because where am I supposed to be building up some muscle? Because it could be spiritual muscle, it could be physical muscle, it could be mental muscle, it could be emotional muscle. But there's something for me to do here and learn here. What is it? And how can I get to it? Versus saying, I'm angry and I'm always going to be angry. I hate them and I'm always going to hate them. I am disconnecting from my reality. This is what, when you don't deal with trauma, this is partially what causes mental health issues. And depending on the trauma and how long ago it was and how many times you've experienced trauma, you know, I suffer from depression, but there are a lot of people who suffer from, you know, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, many other things that are much harder to deal with. Not to take away from anything, because I do believe every mental illness it should be treated the same. Like, we shouldn't say, oh, well, you suffer from schizophrenia, so you worse off than someone who just has depression. No, that's not true. I think that equally yoked are all mental illnesses, and that we all need to treat them not the same as in treatment, but we need to take serious each diagnosis. So that's another part of my why, is that I didn't even know that I was depressed. Like, clinically, I thought it was situational. I thought it was from loss. I thought it was, you know, just from loss. Like, I never really realized that trauma that I've experienced hadn't even been dealt with. So that's part of my why. I've experienced a lot of broken hearts and ended relationships, friendships even, and I've seen a lot of death around me and just in the world, and I'm always concerned that, is this it? Like, you know, that was what woke me up, asking that question, like, God, is this it? Like, we just wake up, go to sleep, go to work, in between that, maybe have kids, maybe get married, maybe not, maybe cancer takes you out, like whatever other disease that you could think of, and some of us lose our minds completely. Is that it? How is this it? How is this life? And in the midst of that, I realized that this is not, it's not that it's not reality for some of us, but that it doesn't have to be. You know, that we don't have to suffer forever. We may have some struggles in the beginning, depending on your upbringing, depending on where you are with everything, how you processed it so far. Yeah, we have those things, and growth will always be necessary, but do we have to suffer daily? And I realized that we don't. I realized that at some point it becomes a choice. Like, things happen to us, but when you hold on to them and you don't let go of them, and it creates more havoc, more disconnection, more struggle, then that's problematic, and we don't have to do that. And I want to help people figure out how to move forward. That's my why, a part of my why. And I look around and I see all of these things, the violence, people, shooting up buildings, shooting up schools, killing kids, killing people in general. Like, those things bother me. on a cellular level. I can never not be affected by it, even with the work that I've done. But understanding that, I do a few things. I make sure that I disconnect. I make sure that I meditate, I pray, I look for ways that I can help, which is why I created the Unblocked Blessings podcast, which is why I founded Learn, Grow, Live Enterprises, which is, again, my business, the name of my business. And my why is because I'm passionate about filling in the gaps for people where they want to shift, and giving them the tools to be able to shift on their own, not because I'm involved, but because they want to. If they want to, I want to provide that opportunity. So I think that's my why. I think those are maybe all or most of why I do what I do. So this channel, this podcast, Unblocked Blessings, will be used to do so. Will be used to create safe spaces for people to talk about their challenges, to learn about their how they want to grow, to get the tools that they need to be able to grow. My hope is that I provide the space and provide the tools, provide the knowledge, and that you go get it. Not that I'm going to just teach you everything, but that you go get it on your own. And I don't know everything, and I know that. But what I do know, I want to share it. And every time I learn something, I'm going to share it. So I'm hoping that we build this channel up, and that we create a special experience for those of us who really need a shift and just are struggling to be able to pivot in a way that affects change in your life. When you can, go to Spotify and find Unblocked Blessings. I have already started recording, and I will be kind of shifting in a different direction with my mentor, Mr. Charles Eduardos. We'll be doing some podcasting together. We'll also do videos together. So it's going to be fun. I'm excited about the upcoming year and the things that will be coming into our experience that I'll be creating along with my mentor and along with you guys. If you have suggestions about things you want to know about, if you have suggestions about things you want to learn, if you want to have a live conversation with me, we could do that on my podcast and on video. We'll find a way. If you're not in the city, if you are in the city, my preference is to do it live together. But even if you don't, we can definitely do it virtually. So that being said, like I said, I didn't want this to be a long video, but I did want to share my why I do what I do, and let that be my first official video, in hopes that we will continue to build together. I love you guys. Peace out. And don't forget, Unblocked Blessings podcast on Spotify. I hope to do this again soon. Thanks. Bye.